hope you guys had a great Christmas, spent time with family, loved ones, and friends, watched the joy on people's faces as they opened gifts, drank all the eggnog to your heart's content, and ate the ham out of a pig. But today we're going to get into some Dead Space 4 news, because at one point that game was pitched by none other than Glen Shofield. Now, back on December 23rd, Tom Henderson did report that Glen Shofield says EA turned down a possible Dead Space 4 earlier this year. Now, this news comes from a live stream by Dan Allen Gaming a few weeks ago, where he sat down with Dead Space creators Glen Shofield, Brett Robbins, and Christopher Stone. Well, we tried, actually, the three of us, to pitch Dead Space 4. Said Shofield, I mean, we were talking this year that they pitched Dead Space 4. He continued in response. Allen replied, and what, they didn't budge? Well, we didn't go too deep. They just said we're not interested right now. We appreciate it, blah, 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 and we respect their opinion, replied Shofield. He finished on the topic with, we have some ideas, with the trio all saying they would return for Dead Space 4. Now, mind you, this is off the heels of the Dead Space remake, which was reported to not really sell all that well. It didn't really light the world on fire in terms of sales. And it could just be the times we're in, where at one point at the time, it would have sold gangbusters. But now, you know, it's not really moving the needle like that. But people did ask for a remake for Dead Space for the longest time. And then we get it, and nobody really went out and bought it, because it's a great remake. I mean, it scared the shit out of me, I'm gonna tell you that. And you know, it's one of them games, when you played it as a kid, you're just fascinated by it, but as an adult, you look at it and say, if I was in this character's shoes, I would just rather press the eject button on the Ishimura and just take my helmet off and get shot out of a cannon in the cold vacuum of space, because you would much rather deal with that than deal with the Necromorphs. That Dead Space remake had me scared like a bitch, I ain't gonna lie. But it is interesting that the idea for Dead Space 4 got turned down, and it kind of would play into my whole theory I've had for the longest about remakes and remasters, why we get them. And we kind of see that even with other games. We're getting a brand new Mafia game, The Old Country, after we got the definitive edition of Mafia 1, an outstanding remake, which people kind of like asked the question, was that game a remaster or remake? And it kind of, you know, sparked up that whole conversation from years ago. But I've said for the longest time, I feel like a lot of publishers and developers, they'll put R&D into a remake over a brand new entry just to see if people are still interested in the franchise. Now, I think if they were to come out with a Dead Space 2 remake, I would buy that day one. Like, granted, would I be scared shitless? Would I grab my adult diapers? Abso-fucking-lutely. But don't be surprised if you see me, you know, get dragged off into a straitjacket afterwards.
Hold on to your butts.
I can only imagine we may get a Dead Space 2 remake before we get a brand new entry in the franchise. And wouldn't it be some bullshit if, like, let's say in the future, they were to either greenlight a Dead Space 4, just not with Glen Shofield. If they were to wait till after a Dead Space 2 remake, I think that would stir the pot just enough. Because considering the fact that Glen, he's the guy who created Dead Space and made it the franchise that it was. But, you know, I'll hang on to hope as to one day we'll, you know, see a brand new Dead Space game or a Dead Space 2 remake. But until then, you know, I guess it's just going to be shovelware. But with that being said, y'all let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Till next time, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.